Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. Thanks for joining me for MeteoMark weather. Will we see a development in the tropics for later this coming week into next week? There are indications that something big could potentially be brewing in the southern and western Caribbean. And could it be heading into the Gulf of Mexico or up the East Coast? I have full details. And if the tropics weren't enough, we're going to be looking at a massive jet stream that's going to be bringing extreme severe weather into parts of the southern plains all the way to the southeast this week. It is going to be one of the most active weeks we've seen of severe weather in more than a month. And this jet stream promises to bring quite a flow pattern to parts of the deep south, the southern plains. Tornado season is back in a big way. And this upper level low, how much is it going to help the air quality across the northeast with the Canadian wildfires? All right, so for your tropics here, we're going to start off with the Atlantic. You see this conveyor belt of tropical moisture on the backside of this high pressure system. That's just going to continue as we go in time. However, we still have some rainfall around the Jamaica area. Cayman Islands is slowly trying to dry out here as we go throughout the rest of the weekend. You can see we're going to actually look at a drying trend here, and that high pressure builds westward, and that's going to help you dry out. It's also going to drive up the temperatures as well, so it's going to start to feel really hot. You see high pressure dominating much of the Atlantic here, pushing the intertropical convergence zone a bit to the south here. But you see by the 14th here, this is June 14th, we start to see evidence of something trying to develop in the extreme southern Caribbean here. Now, this is the key. This is actually what we've been waiting for. Once this system initializes, we're going to have a much better idea of where the system's going to go. But you see by the 16th, it really starts to ramp up here south of the Cayman Islands, southwest of parts of Jamaica. You can see how this continues to pinwheel towards the north, the 17th, June 17th into the 18th. Yeah, if you're in the Cayman Islands over to Jamaica and Cuba, you definitely want to keep an eye on this. This could actually develop into something pretty formidable. It's going to be interesting to see where the center of circulation sets up. It kind of bounces around here between here and here, just south of the Cayman Islands and towards Central America. So it's regardless of whether this develops into something right away, we're going to see a tremendous amount of tropical moisture pinwheeling around this from the Cayman Islands all the way down to Jamaica here. So more heavy rainfall expected later on in the week towards June 18th. And as we continue in time here, take a look at this. Is this going to... we've bounced back and forth, especially with the GFS here and other models, of bringing this either west or east towards the East Coast or towards the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this run in particular is bringing it more towards the Gulf of Mexico, the western tip of Cuba, Cancun here, Cozumel, this area. And yeah, this is bringing it a bit further west than previously expected. I think that has to do, too, with how strong, this high pressure is out in the Atlantic. But you can see evidence this high pressure is starting to retreat towards the northeast. So it's going to be interesting to see if this trough, and then we have some high pressures eventually building in here across the east. That is what seems to actually be taking effect here on this latest model run, is the high pressure starting to win out and push this a little bit farther to the west. So that, this run in particular, I still think we're game 50-50 shot here, whether this swings up the East Coast or heads towards the west here into the central Gulf of Mexico. But let's see what this entails. We're getting up beyond 250 hours, so the margin of error is tremendous. But if this scenario were to happen, it's potentially become a hurricane once it reaches the southern Gulf of Mexico. Look at all this tropical moisture up on the east side. That could also affect parts of South Florida, the Bahamas, and Cuba tremendously. But yeah, this thing does seem to be forming an eye if it does get into the Gulf of Mexico. This is the last frame we have here. So still, if you're up and down the East Coast, Florida, Gulf of Mexico, please watch this because we don't know exactly which direction this could head in. Once the system initializes mid to late week, we'll have a much better idea. The models will have a much better idea. But the signal is there for this system to develop. We've been looking at this for the last couple weeks, and it looks like this could develop next week. All right, European run in the Western Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits. Take a look at this. So yeah, you start to see some development favorable here into the Southern Caribbean. I wanted to show you here on the European model, though. Yeah, as is typical, the European run does initialize something here, but it's a little bit farther to the west, mainly over land. So it's going to be interesting to see as these models flip-flop back and forth. We'll keep an eye on the trends. But either way, it looks like both the major models are indicating something is going to be in the Western Caribbean. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here onto the humidity dry air here in the mid to upper layers. You can see here across parts of the southern Caribbean, this area is denoted as a lot of dry air at mid-levels, high levels, and then we have moist air here into the southern Caribbean. You can also see, I wanted to show you this because you can actually see all of the dust, the Saharan dust here as well, drying out the layer and the mid-layers here across parts of the main development region of the Atlantic. But you can see this whole area of the Western Caribbean starts to moisten up here on the European model as we go towards next weekend. You can see area favorable for development. It's not going to be ingesting any horribly dry air. And of course, as we take a look at the latest GFS run here, you can see the GFS is even more bullish here as we head towards Sunday, June 18th. Look at this massive amount of tropical moisture even in the mid layers here. So the dry air continues to retreat to the west. Even the GFS, is starting to weaken a little bit of this Saharan dust. So that might be less of a factor going forward. But look at this, plowing the GFS into, look at this, basically blowing the system up into a full-blown hurricane and bending it west as essentially what we have going on here. High pressure out into parts of the main development region of the Atlantic, and then an area of high pressure starts to develop here across the East Coast. Although you can see evidence that there may be some troughiness up here, and it'll be interesting to see if this troughiness, I wanted to show you this because, this here in particular, if this is a little bit farther to the south, this might actually have less of an impact than this high-pressure system retreating to the east, and it might allow this system to become a little bit farther to the north or start recurving a little bit quicker here. It all depends on how quick, but you can see there's definitely a lot of dry weather here across parts of the northern Gulf of Mexico, and that continues to push the system towards the west here on the latest GFS run. You can see it becoming a major hurricane potentially before making landfall in Mexico. So this is definitely a different solution than we saw 24, even 48 hours ago. But I must caution you, we look at this again, we're out 384 hours. A lot can happen, so I put a 50-50 shot between the East Coast, Gulf of Mexico, and Mexico here. So the upper air pattern here, anomaly-wise, as far as troughs and ridges. So yeah, we're going to be dealing with that troughiness again across the eastern part of the country as we head through all of this next week into next weekend. It is not going away anytime soon, and that might have implications depending on how far south this trough is to any potential tropical storm or hurricane that would try to come up either the Western Caribbean side, East Coast side, or Gulf of Mexico side. More severe weather for later Saturday into Saturday night. The biggest concern here is right around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is where we're going to see an enhanced risk all the way over towards portions of southwestern Arkansas, northwestern Louisiana. I'm extremely concerned about tornadoes, damaging wind, large hail. This is going especially from Austin northeastward to Dallas, Shreveport, Texarkana, Tyler, Linden, all these areas, College Station. Please stay tuned to the watches, warnings, and everything in between here. This is not looking good. Sunday, that severe weather threat spreads to the east here. You see during the day, the mid-Mississippi River Valley over to Kentucky and parts of Tennessee. Damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornadoes cannot be ruled out. And as you can see, severe weather for your Monday elongates into a marginal risk across parts of central and northern Texas all the way over towards parts of the mid-Atlantic. All right, so let's take it region by region here. Your future radar here across the Northeast. Yeah, this afternoon and evening, you'll have some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up here across parts of New York and Pennsylvania. It's a 20% chance in most areas. The big story is up here in Quebec and Ontario. This is where you need some beneficial rain. Maine continuing with showers and thunderstorms as well. It's across parts of the southern plains of the southeast here. You're going to start to see some strong thunderstorms northeast Texas as we get into late afternoon, early evening hours. Look at this continuing, though. This is an explosion of thunderstorms around 8 p.m. I am concerned about damaging wind, large hail, and some tornadoes. And look at this here across parts of Mississippi, Alabama. You start to get into this up towards Missouri as well as the northern plains. More rainfall up here to parts of, north of the warm front here. And lots of showers and thunderstorms here across parts of the Rocky Mountains as well. And look at this here into Florida. Yeah, you're going to be dealing with some of this tropical moisture spinning off. Most of it will be to your southeast across the Bahamas as well. And we're going to continue to watch that blossom towards the southeast here into the Bahamas. But take a look at here. This is what we're going to be dealing with, across the Northeast as we get into, early Sunday morning. You got showers and thunderstorms continuing up here into this wildfire-stricken area and poor air quality. This is great news. We want to see some of these showers and thunderstorms impinge on the area. And look at this as we get into Sunday here. This is great news. Look at even the Ohio Valley that's been drying out, too dry as of late. Look at this. You're filling in with showers and thunderstorms from Cleveland on southwestward towards Sunday afternoon. You're actually going to be getting into some severe weather across parts of the southeast as well. I'm really concerned, about this large area here. It's going to be a big severe weather day. And look at here across parts of the Ohio Valley. You're going to start to see this really fill in as well. It's going to be more of a generalized stratiform rain across parts of Cleveland, Detroit area, Youngstown. That is great news, and that's going to lift towards the northeast. But you can see, look at the shower and thunderstorm activity here across the southeast with the severe weather really impinging on southern Georgia, parts of the Carolinas, and then back towards Mississippi, Kentucky, and Tennessee. We're going to see these linear line segments, and I cannot rule out some tornadoes developing across this area. But look at parts of the Ohio Valley, too, getting in the area of stronger thunderstorms from Columbus on southward. Cleveland, you'll be into the stratiform rain continuing into Sunday evening. And look at this system essentially is going to head back to the, towards the east, the area of low pressure riding up the Ohio River Valley. This is great news. This is going to clear out your air quality as well as we get into Sunday night. And we're going to see that rain impinge on the northeast for your Monday. But look at here across the southeast. I wanted to go through these showers and thunderstorms with you. This is going to be an area that is of concern from the Dallas-Fort Worth area all the way back towards Atlanta, Knoxville, Tennessee. Damaging wind, large hail, tornado potential is definitely there. You can see it. That is not great news. We'll take a look at the big picture here. Zoom out, and you can see here as we head into the early morning hours of Monday. Look at this. It switches from a severe weather event, you see, and then to more towards a heavy rain event in the northeast. This is where you're going to see a couple inches of rain start to blossom across parts of Pennsylvania, upstate New York. This is great news. Look at there it is. This is Sunday or Monday morning at 8 a.m. Look at that. That's great news. And severe weather, this severe weather pattern will be continuing across parts of the southern plains. And before I continue on with the rest of your weather, I have much more weather to talk about with you. Please take a look at a special announcement I have about my affiliate. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. So as we take a look at your CAPE, your convective available potential energy, look at as we head on into Saturday evening here. This is explosive. This is CAPE in excess of 3,900 all the way up to 5,000 joules per kilogram in eastern Texas. That's what I'm really concerned about is you're definitely going to have the food for thunderstorms, the energy to feed into these thunderstorms that continues overnight, Saturday night into early Sunday morning. And look at the resurgence we have. I mean, even into the yellow and orange areas, we're getting in excess of 2,000. And look at these red and fuchsia colors. That's where we're going to be getting into close. If we go up here, let's actually get on the scale here, these fuchsia colors, 5,000 joules per kilogram. I'm deeply concerned here about Texas eastward here, and that's going to produce a tremendous amount of shower and thunderstorm activity as we head on into Sunday as well. Take a look at that. That's just going to propagate towards the east as well as we get chances developing here across the East Coast as we get towards late Sunday as well. So take a look at the smoke at the surface. Take a look at this. Thankfully, we don't have any severe areas that's going way out over the ocean here, but look at from Cleveland on northeastward here, western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, western New York. You're still going to be dealing with the smoke also across southern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, parts of Maryland, and northern Virginia. Look how that pivots overnight, though, tonight, Saturday night, and this early Sunday morning. Kind of sets up shop across the Alleghenies here, parts of the Laurel Highlands, central southern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and Long Island as well. So you're going to be dealing with some poor air quality. It's not going to be like it was this past Wednesday, but look at that. It kind of pivots towards the upper Susquehanna River Valley for your Sunday. and it kind of gets stuck here across parts of central New England. Thankfully, that doesn't look too bad, but you can actually see the fires, the smoke from the fires really cropping up here across parts of southern Ontario. So that's going to be an issue as we continue. And as we take a look at the smoke here nationally, smoke at the surface, you can see most of it is up across parts of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. The poor air quality you can see is all the way down to parts of northern Florida. But look at here across the northern plains, we're getting smoke here from Alberta and British Columbia area as well. And that's going to continue. You can see up here in Quebec, we're still dealing with a lot of those smoke from the wildfires as well. That's terrible news. And you can see pieces of smoke here, if you want to call it that, breaking off here across the northern Great Lakes. It all depends on the weather pattern, though, and how much it focuses. And I'm getting a little concerned. You see up here, this is towards Monday, early Monday morning. You can see that smoke really starting to concentrate up there across Quebec. And all it takes is a weather system and the right, alignment to get this to actually pivot towards the south, towards the United States again. And here is vertically integrated smoke all the way up into the atmosphere. This is smoke that's not necessarily at the surface. You can see how this is going to pivot later Saturday into Sunday. You can see up in the atmosphere of New England, you're going to see, those hazy skies. So it's not going to actually be on the ground. That's great news. But you can see there's quite a bit of line of smoke here. That's just going to continue. Look what starts to break off here into parts of Alberta. That's not great news either, as those fires in British Columbia and Alberta. But you can see way up in the atmosphere as well, Quebec and Ontario, that just continues into early Monday. All right, so if we take a look at the European run here, this is going to give us a good idea what's going to happen, at least during the next 90 hours here. You can see the latest run showing some strong and severe thunderstorms continuing here across parts of the plains. We're going to continue. Let's just back that up just a few frames. Here it is. Eastern Texas, northeastern Texas later on Saturday, and then into Sunday. We're going to be dealing with a lot of showers and thunderstorms. You can see just basically off the screen here and a little bit to the southeast, there is that tropical moisture, for the most part missing Florida. So this low pressure is going to track to the east. This is going to bring some much needed relief. As I showed you on the other models, rainfall is going to be moving up, so I was a little skeptical last week if this was actually going to materialize, and it looks like it is. This is great news, bringing lots of showers and thunderstorms. The bad news, however, we're going to have severe weather and tornadoes down in this area. That's going to continue on into your late Sunday into Monday, and look at that back east here. We're going to get a line of basically stratiform rain. This is what you need to clean the atmosphere out. Yes, the heaviest smoke has lifted, but you're still dealing with poor air quality, and it's going to take a while to scour that out, but this is going to help you. This area of low pressure across western New York, take a look at that. That's looking really good. You actually need the rain, and that's actually getting up into parts of Ontario and Quebec too, where you really need the rain as well. Unfortunately, most of the rest of Canada is rain-free, and you don't really need that. You need the rain, but look at this. This rain actually pinwheels late Monday night into Tuesday into parts of western New England, the Hudson Valley. That is great news for you, and I'll be showing you those rainfall amounts. We're going to get over an inch, and that's going to pinwheel. It does start to occlude. You can see the weakening process. We're still getting rain all the way around in this area and even down into the Cleveland area, so that is great news to be had here. So definitely great news for parts of the Northeast. The only bad thing is on the backside of this low, the wind is going to start to prevail this way and then eventually the Northeast. So whatever wildfires are burning, the smoke is going to come pinwheeling back around eventually. So taking a look at total liquid equivalent precipitation, we're going to take you through the next 90 hours. So it takes us through late Tuesday night. Look at this. This is really great news. You see most of Florida's being missed by this big tropical moisture plume down here. But here are the southern plains, just north of Texas. Texas, you'll be drying out here for the most part with some rain in the eastern, northeastern sections up to half to 3/4 of an inch. But the big story here is the rainfall, not just up into Ontario and Quebec where you really need it, but this is going to scour you out here into parts of the Ohio Valley, the Northeast. Look at this, 1 to as much as 3 inches. Let's zoom in here and zooming into the Northeast here. You take it through the weekend into Monday, Tuesday, Monday into Tuesday, Monday night especially. That's where the heaviest rain's going to fall. Look at this. This is what you really need. Unfortunately, it kind of scours out here in parts of New England. You'll still get half to 3/4 of an inch on average, but look at back towards the Susquehanna River Valley, the I-81 corridor. This is where we could be looking at 1.5 to up to 2.5 inches of rain. Even back towards Cleveland here, look at this, 1 inch to 1.5 inches. That's great news. Erie, 2 inches. Buffalo, 1.25 inches. Pittsburgh, close to 1 inch. You get over towards Wilkes-Barre and Scranton, 1.75 inches. That's great. Binghamton and Syracuse right around 2.5 inches. And look at this, all the way up towards portions of southern Ontario and Quebec. This is great news for you. Look at that, 2.5, almost 3 inches of rainfall. And Jim here over southern New England. The first 3 photos are not loading here. No description available. Here we go. The last 3 I think will load. Here we go. Jim from the southern New England area, a large supercell over the area this past Saturday. So, receiving some beneficial range. You can see, off in the distance here, large supercell across the area. And you can see it building quite nicely there. Nice captures there, Jim. Hopefully we can get some more rain action going on because we tremendously need it across the Northeast. Nice view there. And some viewers send in photos and videos. Derek Rentschler from South Central Pennsylvania, Lebanon County. Yeah, this was the rule June 7th across the Northeast. The air pollution scales were in excess of 300 and 400 plus in many areas. This was just not a good day. If you have any breathing problems, this was detrimental to you. But look at this. Derek capturing some beautiful photos here. Even the sun having a hard time shining through all that smoke and particulates. Not a very good, this was probably the worst air quality day I've ever seen in the Northeast, ever. This is insane. And look at that orangish tint. That was the rule. That is the smoke. You can actually see it's not just a haze. You can actually see the smoke up close as well. And the smell, mostly it was a campfire smell, but you can also, in some areas, had from time to time almost like just a really toxic smell. You can smell other things that burned off during these fires as well. But look at that. Just a nice captures there. Thanks, Derek, for sending those in. And John out on Long Island here. Take a look at this smog on June 7th. Yeah, he was also dealing with it. New York City on eastward as well. Just a very bad, Long Island getting hit with this really bad as well. It was just insane. Look at that orangish tint, that orangish glow. It just, the particulates were extreme, and you can see driving out there in it, you can't even see the sky, essentially, and the smoke is all around you, and you can do all you can to try to keep that out of the vehicle as well. Look at that. Yeah, smoke. There it is. 64 degrees, smoke. That was pretty much dense smoke advisory. Nice captures there, John. We have Typhoon Guchol out here, southeast of Japan here. So we're going to be dealing with this typhoon. There's thankfully going to be limited effects up in Japan. We're dealing with the rainy season in Japan. You can see this heavy rain here continuing across Japan, helping to have all of those seasonal flowers blossom quite nicely. Typhoon Guchol is going to be just to your southeast. It will be helping enhance the rainfall as we head through June 11th here, the weekend. And take a look at this. Yeah, this is going to be weakening to a tropical storm as it parallels the coast. This has been the rule here, these systems paralleling the Japanese coast. That's great news because it keeps some of the more flooding rains and worst effects away. But there'll be some sort of maybe possibly area of low pressure, something tropical or subtropical, pinwheeling along the coast of June 13th as we head into your new work week here. And look at that. That kind of the effects kind of push to the northeast here, so keeping the heaviest rain. You kind of can see a conveyor belt of moisture continuing here from parts of Taiwan, eastern China, and then just east of Japan here. Now, the thing is here across the Philippines, let's just back this up just a little bit. There's going to be moisture flooding in, behind that system. So look at that. As we head throughout the rest of the weekend in the Philippines, it's mostly the northern Philippines that are going to get hit by some of this tropical moisture. But as we continue in time here, you can actually see as we head into next week, the intertropical convergence zone is really going to ramp up to your east. Look at this as we head towards June 14th. We're really getting in on the act of some very inclement weather here. Tropical waves, tropical disturbances possibly developing here. Things start to really get active towards June 15th here. Look at this. We got a tropical wave heading towards the central part of the Philippines here, and that's not looking good. You're going to see a lot of tropical rains, heavy rains, and you're going to get quite sick of the rain as we head towards the northern and central Philippines here. So you kind of see here just south of Taiwan, we're kind of socked in with a lot of moisture too. That's a lot of times with the westerlies combining with the tropics here, and it's helping to enhance the rainfall. Now look at, we have a potential another system. This is by June 19th. So we're going to continue this active pattern south and southeast of Japan and east of the Philippines. Your last frame shows, yes, we're dealing with the rainy season here in southern Japan. This tropical moisture could feed into Japan as we head towards June 19th. And as we head over here, Cyclone Biparjoy here, take a look at this. This is going to be heading towards the north. It's continuing to be a decent cyclone. It's not going to be anything extremely major, up towards 100, maybe 105 mile per hour winds here. But this system actually is going to weaken, thankfully, as we head into next week, June 11th. June 12th here, you can see it starts to slow down as it approaches the coastline, and it's going to make landfall right around the 14th, 15th. Thankfully, it will be, just a strong tropical storm, but the big concern with this is the tremendous amounts of rainfall that it's going to bring. So as this thing nears the coast, let's just zoom out a little bit. I'll show you this whole loop of this system again. So yeah, pretty formidable eye, but then it starts to weaken as it heads towards the coast. And the big story is going to be the heavy rainfall as it moves inland on the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th. That's going to be the killer with this system. And you look at how it really holds together. It starts to become an area of low pressure well inland here into parts of India. And then you see it gets up into the mountain ranges there and starts to enhance the rainfall. So rainfall with this is just going to be tremendously horrible. So as we take a look at your temperatures over the next several days, it's going to be warming up here on Sunday across the northeast, mid to upper 80s. Texas is where the big heat's going to be coming from. That's helping to feed into all that severe weather across the south. As we head into your Monday, take a look at this. Yeah, we got a little bit of a cool shot here across the lake, 60s, even Cleveland there, 65, 60s into Buffalo. Maybe that'll help the air quality a little bit, but look at that. Texas, Florida, Carolinas just baking here, warming up out west as well. And as we get into your Tuesday, look at this. Yeah, another little shot of cooler air across the northeast, but Texas continuing to be across the century mark here into the hundreds as Wednesday kicks in. Another little cool shot across the northeast, lower 70s, nice and temperate, just baking here across Texas and parts of the southern plains. And as we head into your Thursday, take a look at this. Yeah, much of the south continues to bake here. That's going to feed into all the severe weather outbreaks across much of the south. And as we continue on into your Friday, June 16th, look at this. You don't see too much change, with the exception for these warmer 90s coming back north. Extended outlook from hometown viewers. Binghamton to Scranton's Upper Susquehanna, River Valley of New York, Pennsylvania. Sunday, we'll see some scattered showers, especially later in the day, heading up towards the mid-80s. Yes, Monday, this is where we get the best chance for those showers and thunderstorms. We could be heading up towards 1.5 inches, 2 inches Monday night, early Tuesday. We'll have a few showers left on Tuesday, more breaks of sun though into Wednesday. Another chance, a shot of rainfall with the next system, only 71, but look at this towards Thursday, scattered showers, thunderstorms, maybe up to another 1/4 inch of rain. So definitely looking at a lot of good chances of rain this coming week, which should help the air quality. As always, thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Take a look at the links down below. I have my affiliate link for Trilogy Maps, so if you want to get some of those, I do make a commission off those. I just wanted to disclose that, but go ahead and use the code MeteoMark to save 20%. Also, visit my Hurricane 2023 outlook if you haven't already. Link at the end of this video and description down below. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern for my tropical page, at MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com, Twitter at WeatherEastern. Thank you for joining me.